Good day and welcome to Mandy's Makings. Today is number 3 in our chain series. So we're going to do that today. Just remember that you can find all the things you need in the description below. Just click the show more and it'll show you everything you need to make this particular project. I always have that there, as well as links to my Etsy store and to Facebook and to either social media, Pinterest and such. So, definitely check that out and like and subscribe to the video if you want to see more of these free, ad-free at the moment, tutorials. So I'm going to be making this chain today, and it's just a spiral chain, and I thought I was going to do another one, and then I thought I'll do this one because it's quite nice for Valentine's Day. So as you can see, it's quite a nice chain. It's decorative, it's pretty. Definitely you could hang things if you wanted to from it. It's a good sturdy chain. It's not going anywhere. So just a spiral chain. It's kind of fun. I've done some endings and I'll show you how to do one of them so that you know how to do that as well. So I've pretty well got this the right length. I just need to do a couple more. So for this one, you need I'm using Parawire. This is 18 gauge, titanium colored. I have my round nose pliers. I have my bent nose pliers. I have my wire straighteners and my nippers or my cutters, flush cutters, and I have a ruler. So I've measured these out. They're 2.5 inches long, and I've trimmed the ends like in previous videos, so they're both flat ends. So I'm starting out with prepared wire, and I just have 2 pieces left so I can show you how to do this. Okay, so let's move some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, so let's see. So first what I'm going to do is I am going to start a spiral. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to take this, and let me see if I can get in just a little bit closer for you. Hopefully it's not blurry. Okay. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to start a spiral, and I'm used fairly close to the tip because I don't want a super small loop, but I do want a smallish loop. This is your own discretion. You can make these as wild and funky and as spread out or as tight as you'd like. Okay, there's only one thing you have to worry about, and I'll explain that when we get there. So I'm starting this loop, and I'm just, my traditional way of starting a loop, and I'm just bringing it around and bringing it around and till the wires touch. So see how they're touching? So I'm going to continue to bring this around, and I'm going to continue to bring this around, and what I'm doing is making sure that the wire is laying on top of each other. So I'm sort of looking from the top, and I'm making sure. Now this will only sort of take you so far, and then you have to switch to using the flat version. Because this is 18 gauge, this is really tough wire. You could do this in smaller gauges. I wouldn't go do this to guarantee any kind of security unless you want to do a wrap loop below a 22 gauge. After that, I would want to do a wrap loop, not on this end, but on the other end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my spiral. So I'm using for those of you who, as you can see, they're well loved and used a lot. These are my nylon jaw pliers, and if you have trouble marking your wire, especially if you're newer and making spirals can be difficult, use nylon jaw pliers. It'll help. But the trick is a lot of people want to use them at the tip, and they tend to be really slick there. So I bring it back just before the metal and put it in there, and it holds it a little bit stronger. So, and I'm clamping pretty good. I'm not going to hurt the wire. I know that because I have nylon jaw pliers. And I bring it so that it's almost 90 degrees, and then I just push against, and then I bring it and push against, and I bring it and I push against, and you just keep doing that until this, and you don't seem like you're getting anywhere, but you actually are. You can do it one way. I can move the pliers, or I can move. Now I don't take this all the way up yet because I have to do another loop on the other side. Now, one of the things you have to pay attention to is when you're making this, okay, you do have an underside and a top side. Neither one are going to bother your skin, but there is a difference, and let me show you the differences here. Let me get this in the screen here. So as you can see, this goes in the spirals all go this way. The spirals go this way. So if my spiral's going this way, my loop has to go sort of that way. See, there's my spiral, the top of my spiral, so my loop has to go that way. It has to go the opposite way. So you have to pay attention to that. So I'm going to hold this in my hand this way, and I'm going to make my loop. Now, this is what you have to consider. Depending on how you've made this down here, depends, and you're going to bring this up right up to the, once you make the loop. Depending on how thick this is, depends on how big of a loop you have to make on this end. So if you made this all wide open spirals, you can loop it through the first one if you want, or through two of them if you want. But if you want to go all the way to the center, like I'm doing here, you're going to need to make a bigger loop on this end. It's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to go to like quite a ways down on my pliers, and I'm going to start my loop, and I'm going to bring it till it's closed. So my loop's closed, really close. I gotta have to straighten that out a bit. I'm gonna have to open it and close it again anyways. So now I take it and I hold it with the loop in my hand, and I go back to these pliers, to my nylon jaw pliers, and I bring it down to the bottom, and I bring it in. And I bring it in till basically this just bumped into my fingers, because they're holding the loop right to the edge of the loop here. It just banged my fingers. And that gives me consistent spacing. You can do whatever you'd like, as I said. Okay, so now I got to make this. I could leave it like this, but they would look kind of funny on the chain. So I'm going to take it, and what I'm doing with these pliers is I'm going right to the edge of where that circle finishes on this loop at the bottom here. And I'm just twisting it out. So I'm trying to twist it so it's basically coming out of the center of this circle at a sort of almost a 90-degree bend. Not quite, but pretty close to a 90-degree bend. I can go a little farther if I want. It's up to you how you want to do this, again, as I said. So now we have to attach it. So how we attach these is that you have the one loop, and then you have this you have to put in. So you need to open the loop that you're going to put over the bottom. All right, the very first one you don't have that issue with. You just open the loop and put it on the second one that you make. So you take your loop, just like you would a piece of chainmail or an ear finding, and you're just cracking it open. So I've cracked it open. Now this gets a little fiddly, because depending on how big you made these, depends on how easy this is to get on. Now the biggest thing is that right now, I have the right side facing up on this one, and I have the wrong side facing up on this one with my loop going the other way. Because I have to take it, put it in this hole, and bring it around. And then the right side's facing, and the right sides are facing, and the curves are going the same way. So let me do that again. When I have it open like this, I have the right side facing up, I have my hook that I have to grab here. I take this piece here and make sure, if I do it this way, it's going to end up upside down. So I turn it around so that this loop, because the loop sort of sticks to one side and not the other side, it's like a little frying pan, right? So you take your little frying pan and you put it in, and you twist it around so that it comes the same. And you then turn it and close the loop just like you would on an earring finding. Okay, close the loop. You can look from the side to make sure it's closed. Make sure everything's okay and you're happy. And you have your loop. Okay, so let's make one more so you can see what they look like. Do that one more time. I'm going to start small first. And I'm making my loop. Let me see if I can do it this way so you can see it. While I'm making my loop, I'm just bringing it around slow but sure. So I don't have to use a ton of pressure on my pliers, because I don't want to mark my wire, right? And if you're really terribly worried, you could always tape the ends of your wires. I don't like doing that because I find I don't get very good grip, but that's up to you, what you want to do. Tool dip is another thing that lots of people use. Now I overlapped there, so I have to flatten that. You heard that little click? That was just me flattening it. Okay, so I'm ready to start my spiral. So I'm going to grab it farther down on the bottom on my nylon jaw pliers, and I'm pushing, and I'm sort of pushing at the same time as I'm And I'm just laying, because I'm holding on to so much of this ring, the spiral part, it's making it easier for this to go around right next to it. Okay, pretty simple. Now, if I wanted to make the clasp part, I'm going to actually pull this back out, and I'm going to pretend I didn't do that far. I make it a little bit less. Okay, I just make a little bit here, and then I take my big end as far as I can, or I can use a spike like this. Sorry about that. I can use a spike like this, and I can bring it around the spike. Okay, now I know I have to do the other end yet, but see how that sort of makes it, if I hadn't bent it back, it wouldn't have the little kink in it. So I have a spiral on this end. Alright, so for one end, you need one that looks like that. It's a round one, and I've just made a flat loop to go against the back side, so when I stick my last chain in, this actually has the lobster claw attached. Before I made the second loop, I put my lobster claw in, you know, so it's sitting in this little section right here, and then I made the loop and then tucked it underneath and put two of them together. So that when I put that last loop through, it's going to go through both of them. It's going to go through the one little single loop and this one. For this end, okay, because it's basically the first one that's going to hook onto something, right? So this was actually the first one I made, but I made this afterwards. I did start at the spiral. I did what I just did here, but the only difference is this time I'm going to bend the loop this way. So I'm going to bend it outwards like that towards the back, and then bring this in so that I can hook it on, and that sits on top of where I hooked it on. Okay, so this becomes my end that I can stick my clasp in, and the other one is where I attach the lobster claw. The only difference is how you lay this last ring. If I lay the last ring on its side, then it's for the lobster claw. If I lay the ring this way, like spiral it around this way, like this. Okay, so I need a bigger loop, because remember, this is going around that big spiral. Okay, bigger loop. See how that goes that way? And then I just tucked that on top of that, so that it gives you a place to hook into with your lobster claw. Okay, so let's hook in this last loop into this last thing. So I have a loop here that is already attached because it's the last one, and I have this that's already attached. It doesn't have to be. I could hook this on first, but the lobster claw has to go on before you make that final loop on the bottom there. So let's open this. And again, you have to watch how it has to show up. So I have to make sure that I have the right sides to the right sides, and this is somehow spun around, so let's not do that. Okay, so I have the right side up here, and I have the right side up here. So I have to flip this around and start in from the bottom side first. And this is a little thicker, so this is going to take me some wiggling. It's like doing chainmail, you sort of have to wiggle it around. So right now I only got the bottom loop, and I could just leave it like that if I was happy. And actually it's the wrong way. Yeah, okay, so this is the way I gotta go. So there. So see how I saw that the loop was at the top and not the bottom, and I changed it because you see all the loops are all the same, and then you don't feel them on they don't bother you at all because of the width of this stuff. It's the same. And because everything's tucked underneath, wrong pliers. Don't want to do that with my round nose pliers, more likely to slip. So I'm just closing that loop, and I have a completed bracelet. And it does twist around a little bit, but that's what it looks like. So you just take your lobster claw when you're wearing it, and then you hook it to the other side. And there is a right and wrong. It can twist itself, as you can see. It can get twisted, and you just untwist it. It's not a big deal. It is a great chain for, I'm just fiddling with it right now. It is a great chain for, you can put, remember those linked beaded links that I did last time? You could put those in between. You could use them. You could do the spirals on both ends and then put the figure eights that I showed you, this infinity chain links in between. So there's lots of options of what you can do with this. I hope you have fun and you enjoy making this, you know, yourself. Let me just back out a bit here. I really appreciate you being with me today, and please make comments below. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. Comment about what you've seen, things you might like, things that you want to see me make. If you go to my Etsy store and there's something that you see there that I have not done a video on that you really want to see, I'm more than willing to do that. So take care and keep on making from Manny's Bakings.